Hey, Shalom. I'm going to start by giving all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, who taught me this truth through the Holy Spirit, and Shalom to the elect. All right, we're getting down to, the nitty gritty right now. Okay, coming in the year 2026. Okay, this year, I believe they'll bring out the digital currency or something very close to it. Okay, we're getting real close because you have, some of Esau's, wisest men, right? One of the keepers of the house, one of the biggest bankers in Warren Buffett. Okay, he's speaking on, really what spoke about in the book of Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. Okay, when it goes into 12 and 3, it says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble. Okay, and this is what we're getting into, and you can hear it in his voice, Warren Buffett. I'm gonna play this video. Okay, and he's talking about, how the dollar is being debased, and it's being done on purpose, and we told you this. Okay, this is a controlled demolition of the currency, okay, to bring in a new digital currency, which they claim will be, they'll use it fiscally responsibly. Okay, that every dollar will be accounted for. Okay, there'll be no more waste and spending and things of that nature, because they'll have a exact track on every single dollar, unlike what they have now, unlike the system they have now. Okay, where they can just, they can say anything, right? They can say, the cartel, funnel billions of dollars back into the economy, and devalue it that way. Okay, they have many different uses, okay? But the keepers of the house are trembling right now, okay? It goes on, the strong man shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few. Okay, and we're going into the end of, this dynasty, right? This empire, right? An empire only lasts so long. And if you read Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter, it also it's talking about two different things, right? It's talking about the declining of your body, okay, when you get older, okay, but it's also talking about a kingdom, okay, and we know that the kingdom talks about it's talking about a body, because we can go back to Daniel and the statue, right? The statue of Nebuchadnezzar, right? These kingdoms were represented in the statue of a man. Okay, and we're getting into the end of the age of this man. Okay, the end of the age of Esau Edom, and we know, what that means. Okay, if we go to the book of Second Ezra, the 6th chapter. Okay, this is how we get understanding on what the end of the age means. Okay, Second Ezra 6 and 8. It says, and he answered unto me, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world. Okay, so we're coming into the end of the so-called white man's reign. Okay, and what does he try to do? He's trying to prolong it. Okay, he's trying to reset his time. Okay, basically, reset the game so, he doesn't have to turn the joystick over. But it's not going to happen. Okay, there's bounds that he can't pass, right? And who's coming up behind him? Okay, for Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. Okay, so the Israelites are getting ready to take their rightful position back in the ruler's seat. Okay, now let's hear what Warren Buffett has to say about the dollar to see how close we are, into this dollar, okay, hegemony, okay, which the hegemony is basically the control of all the other banking systems, because the dollar is supreme. Okay, we're getting into the end of that. Let's hear Buffett. Okay, it's a little long. I'll play it all though. If there's any points, I'll pause it.
Make any difference? It'll change next month or next year, and obviously we wouldn't want to be owning anything that we thought was in a currency that was really going to hell. And that's the big thing we worry about with the United States currency. I mean,
Right. So they're going away from the United States currency. And we see kind of, where they're trying to head. Okay. Which the Lord, told us what happened as well. They're heading towards, precious metals. Okay. Also to the digital currency. Okay. But the precious metals, are what they're cornering first. Okay. Because they would like you to believe that the digital currency that they're putting up is going to be for the precious metals. Okay, and we're getting into the last day economy. So it says, this is the book of James 5:1. The Lord warned us of this. Go to now, ye rich men, weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon you. Okay, so there's such, a distrust for the banking system, for the rich, for the elite. Okay, that this isn't going to work properly. Okay, though they would like it to. Okay, there's going to be a lot of distrust and a lot of upheaval. Okay, a lot of fighting against each other. Okay, Satan divided against Satan. Okay, because the trust is gone, man. Okay, it says your riches are corrupted and your garments are moth-eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered. Okay, so they're going to the gold and silver. Okay, but it's not going to help them. Okay, because the people are going to look at them the same way, right? Nothing is going to change. Okay, so this going to be coming to an all-out revolt. Okay, it says, and the rest of them shall be a witness against you, right? The corrosion, okay, the corrosion of the banking system is a witness against them, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. You have heaped together treasures for the last days. Behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth. And the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai of Sabaoth. Okay, you have lived in pleasure on the earth and have been wanting. You have nourished your heart as in a day of slaughter. You have condemned and killed the just, and he did not resist you. Be patient, therefore, brethren. Okay, and this is the message. We got to continue to suffer until the coming of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Behold, the husbandman waited for the precious fruit of the earth. Okay, the elect to be sealed, and have long patience for it until he receive the early and the latter rain. Okay, so we're coming into, the Lord's fruit being sealed. Okay, that precious number of the elect. Okay, how do we know? Because these rich men, okay, their systems that they relied on are breaking down. Okay?
The tendency of a government to want to debase its currency over time is, there's no system that beats that. You can pick dictators, you can pick representatives, you can do anything.
Right, and there's no system that beats that because they can continually cheat the system. Okay, this is why we tell you this man has to be taken out of business. Okay, because in Esau's bag, it's all fraudulent weights. Okay, it's all fraudulent weights. It's all fraud, man. Okay, and he looks to cheat you every chance he get. And this is what Warren Buffett knows. Okay, Warren Buffett's a part of that. All right, but he sees, the demise of it. Okay, and he's warning his people. Okay, but majority don't have the wherewithal, or they don't have the, what it takes to change into the system. Right? Because right now, gold is what, $4,000 plus an ounce. Okay, so average Joe doesn't have the money to get into the next system, even if he wanted to. Right? Even if that, gold is going to go to 20,000, right, within the next year or so. Right? You don't have nobody has $4,000 or $5,000 to put on a gold bar in this day and age. And it's designed like that. Okay, this is why they've used the inflation. Okay, this is why they've done what they've done. Okay, because they always knew it was coming. Okay, because it's a fraudulent system. All right.
But the people, there will be a push toward weaker currencies, and of course that is, I mentioned very briefly in the annual report that the fiscal policy is what scares me in the United States, because it's made the way it is, and all the motivations are to doing a lot of things that can cause trouble with money. But that's not limited to the United States. It's all over.
See, he said it's going to be a problem with money, but not limited to the United States. Why? Because this is going global. Okay, there'll be nowhere, when this thing is implemented, there'll be nowhere to go. Okay, it'll be far-reaching, okay, through the four corners of the earth. No one will be able to buy or sell without opting into this beast system, okay? And Buffett is warning us.
The world, and some places it gets out of control regularly, as they know, they devalue at rates that are breathtaking, and that's continued. I mean, and people can study economics, and you can have all kinds of arrangements, but in the end, if you've got people that control the currency, you can issue paper money, and you will, or you can engage in clipping currencies like they used to do centuries ago.
Right, he's talking about during the times of Rome, okay, when they used to clip, the edges of the coins, okay, which were made out of silver. Okay, they used to clip edges out and melt them and make another currency, a coin. Okay, so you may have 10 coins, all right, you clip the edges of them, and now that 10 is turned into 12. That's basically inflation, okay, and this is what we're doing, and this is what we're coming to, okay, and it's going to get very bleak for the people, man. Okay, the Lord told us that this was going to happen, and this is why it's important to turn back into the Lord. Okay, this is the book of Revelation, the 6th chapter, and the 5th verse. It says, "And when he had opened the third seal, I heard the third beast come and see, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse." Okay, if I read it in the Amplified, it says, "And I behold a black horse of famine." Okay, because inflation is going to shoot through the roof. Okay, back in the times of Germany when the inflation went up, it took a wheelbarrow of money, okay, just to get a loaf of bread. Okay, and this is what it's going back to. Okay, and it's going to cause a great famine. Okay, it says, "I behold a black horse of famine, and the rider had in his hand a pair of scales, a balance." Okay, a balance sheet. Okay, and this is what these devils are claiming, they're going to be doing, okay, with bringing in this new currency, rebalancing the trust and the banking system, okay, a recalibration, all right? It says, and I heard something like a voice in the midst of the four creatures saying, "A quarter of wheat for a denarius," okay, that's a Roman penny. Okay, "a day's wages, for 3 quarts of barley for a denarius, do not damage the oil and the wine." Okay, "a measure of wheat for a penny, a measure of barley for a penny." So never mind worrying about paying rent and gas. Okay, it's going to take you a whole day's work just to get a little bit of wheat and barley to eat. Okay, enough to eat for one day. All right? That's the equivalent of, you may get paid $200 a day right now. Okay, now it's going to be like you getting paid $5 a day. Okay, this is how drastic it's going to get out here. Okay, and Warren Buffett is telling his people, man, you can see the look on his face. Okay, Warren Buffett is a multi-billionaire, and he don't look too happy. Okay, he don't look too happy.
Will always be people. It's the nature of their job. I'm not singling them out as particularly evil or anything like that. But the natural course of government is to make make the currency worth less over time, and that's got important consequences. And it's very hard to build checks and balances into the system to keep that from happening. And we've had a lot of fun here in the last, either the first 100 days or the last 100 days, whatever you want to call it, watching what happens when people try to make sure that they aren't running fiscal risks. And that game isn't over, and it never will be over, in finality. If you look up and search the great inflations of post-World War II, it's just a list that goes on forever, and the same names keep popping up and everything. So the value of currency is a scary thing. And we don't have any great system for beating that.
Okay, so there you have it. Okay, this currency is about to go down, quickly. You can see the look on his face. But what do they have prepared next? Okay, what we told you that they have. Okay, a central bank digital currency is what they have. And they've just implemented it here in, where is it? In the Marshall Islands. Okay, let's look at this video. Copyright disclaimer.
Marshall Islands has launched the first on-chain universal basic income program. What?
Okay, and you people are acting like, we just making this up. Okay, and we don't know what we're talking about. Okay, this is all through the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai B'Shem Rakakwadash. Okay, and you better get with the program. Okay, because all that playing of games and debating, hey, those times is out of the window. Okay, you could clearly see that the Lord is bringing to pass what we told you He's going to bring to pass. It's the book of Ezekiel 33 and 33. And when this cometh to pass, and the Lord will come, then shall they know that a prophet have been among them. Okay, so it's time to stop playing games. And you can see the look on this Warren Sapp's face right here. This guy looks like Warren Sapp. Okay, you can see the look on his face. Okay, and he's thinking, hey, those guys on the corner were saying this. Okay, and we were calling them crazy and, nutty conspiracy theories, theorists, what else? Radicalists. Okay, now look. Okay, now look at his face. Warren Sapp.
And they're using Stellar. It's a universal basic income, and they're using Stellar, distributing USDM1 bonds backed by U.S. Treasury notes and 1.2 million residents, replacing traditional cash payments. I'm not even playing. I wonder how much money they're saving by moving over to blockchain. That's not the question that most people are going to have. I have that question because that's what that looks like. Yes, UBI is a big, topic. Universal basic income, meaning that there are no jobs, right? So people need to eat, they need to live. We're not talking luxury. We're just talking bare minimum necessities.
So by now you've probably heard that Stellar, one of the more prominent crypto networks out there, is being used as the rails for a new UBI that's being tested, or Universal Basic Income, for the Marshall Islands. Now this in and of itself is really interesting to me, that we are testing a UBI of any kind, and that this is the very first nation where this is actually being tested. So I dove into it, and what I found about the Marshall Islands kind of blew my mind beyond just this whole UBI situation. Because one thing they didn't teach me in the textbooks when I was a kid is that back in the day, when we were doing our nuclear testing back in the 60s and that era, One of the places that we tested our nukes was the Marshall Islands. And now we're not just talking small nukes or small tests, we're talking nukes that at sometimes were 1.8 times the size of the nuke that was dropped on Hiroshima. And what's crazy is residents actually felt the effects of these things, even though the Marshall Islands are essentially a group of 1,200 islands all around the Pacific. If you look at it on Apple Maps, you won't even see land until you zoom in. But they're essentially just all these islands spread out, yet some of them were chosen for nuclear drop sites, and not just one or two, we're talking like 60. And there's some debate in the community as to whether or not the nukes that they were testing were just to see information about the explosion itself, or whether they were actually testing to see the effects on the people locally. Because even still to this day, there are people who remember.
See, and that's the spirit. Okay, they're bringing this out in a place where they have the biggest nuclear testing in the world, man. Okay, because what comes after this mark of the beast is the nukes. Okay, so that's spiritual.
Or have experiences or still have effects from nukes that were dropped back in the day. And I'm talking like there was mass cases of baby deformities when they were born. One person in particular that I saw a video about talked about how they had leg and arm pain for years and years and years and years. So this is not just like some random thing, right, where one or two people got affected. No, it was a large group of people within the vicinity. So later on, of course, in time, the U.S. realized that this was a bad idea, and they started paying reparations to the Marshall